Welcome back to the Tech Coach Corner YouTube series. I'm Tiara Lustig, your host, and today I have Evan Robb as my guest on the show, and we're talking about leadership and how you can be a catalyst for change and risk-taking in your school or organization from a leadership perspective. Evan has some great perspectives on how to be a catalyst for change and really what that entails, how to look at yourself internally in order to promote change. Before we jump into the episode, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to Dyknow's YouTube channel, as well as don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels so you never miss anything that we're putting out. We just announced our Dyknow Digest YouTube series, which is a product-focused series. So I encourage you, if you're a Dyknow user or interested in learning more about the Dyknow product, head over to that series. You can find it on our YouTube channel or at dyknow.com/digest, and you can get all of the episodes there. We'll be releasing episodes of the Dyknow Digest every Monday and Tech Coach Corners every Thursday. So we have a lot of new content coming out. Keep an eye out for everything. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss anything. And without further ado, let's jump into our conversation with Evan. Welcome back to Tech Coach Corner, everyone. I'm Tiara Lustig, your host, and today I'm joined by Evan Robb. Evan, would you mind giving a brief introduction to yourself before we get started?
I am real excited to be here today. My name is Evan Robb. I am a middle school principal in Northern Virginia, and I've had the opportunity to speak on leadership and intentionality and literacy across the country, which has been quite wonderful, and to write a couple books along the way. And I am excited to be here with you today.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to have you here. One thing you've talked a lot about in your work and we've talked about is the need for change and the need for innovation from a leadership perspective and an organizational perspective. What would you say to people who may need to take the leap into modeling the change and creating that change from the top down? What would your tips be for them?
Excellent question. I think if you want to bring about change into an organization, if you want to be impactful, if you want to be a change agent, part of that comes down to figuring out who you are as a person and as a leader. So I think let's start with this. What I would say is who you are and who most people are is formulated at a very young age. Like I'm not necessarily a believer that you figure out everything about yourself when you go through college or you go through graduate school. Part of your core is established at a young age. It changes a little bit and it adjusts as you learn more and you have experiences. But what I would say is you are either in sync with who and what you are or you're out of sync. So who and what you are doesn't change. You're either in sync with it or you're out of sync with it. And if who you are as a leader is someone who wants to empower others to take leaps and to take risks and encourage that to happen in an organization, then you need to figure out how to share that message with people within your organization, because that's how it flourishes. Because a leader can only be a leader if a leader has followers. Otherwise, you have no one to lead. So I like people to think about risk taking, and the simple example is to first start with yourself, because that's where it's easiest to do some reflections. And what I would say is, as we grow older, sometimes we're less inclined to take leaps and chances. And so encourage everyone to kind of think back to times in your life when you were more inclined to do that, and then reflect. Was that good or was that not a good experience? Most of the time, it is a good experience. Oftentimes, it's a very pivotal experience for people. So think about that for yourself as a leader, and then think about how you can take others along on that journey to inspire others to be the same. So if you want excellence in an organization, you need to find excellence in yourself and inspire other people to find excellence within them. If you want innovation, you need to do the same.
That's wonderful advice. I think finding it within yourself is really important. One thing you touched on was taking the risk and thinking back to times when you did take risks, and that you were most of who you were at a young age, and that's what formed you. I think when I think about risk taking and when you're most likely to take risks, it's when you're a kid and you have no fear of taking the leap and taking a risk. What would you say to people who might want to take a leap but are maybe fearful of the consequences of failure, or what might happen if they take a risk, and how to kind of overcome that fear that they may not have had when they were taking risks at a young age?
A lot of it depends on the culture of an organization. if the leader of the organization is creating a culture where that is encouraged, where people feel safe to do that, then that can happen. Of course, if the leader of the organization is not demonstrating that, it won't happen. It'll happen in pockets. The other thing, and this is more about the leadership of the organization. If you want people to take risks and to be innovative in your organization or in your school, you need to build a commitment for that. But building a commitment is different than mandating something. So, like, you can't mandate innovation. You can't mandate being creative. So as the leader of an organization, you have positional authority. Positional authority allows you to make people do things if that's what someone wants to do. I wouldn't recommend that, or to build commitment. So I always ask people who are in leadership positions, what are you doing in your capacity to empower people and build commitment towards the larger goals of the organization? Or are you using your positional authority either inadvertently or purposely to try to bring about change? But that it won't work. When people, I guess the most simple way to articulate it is the leader of an organization can make people do things, but the leader of an organization can't make people care. And so if the goal is for people to care about being innovative, being creative, being collaborative, being team focused, then that needs to be brought about in a different way, through modeling, through communication, and giving positive affirmations when that's occurring within the organization.
That's great advice for leaders and thinking about leadership holistically. If people want to learn from you, watch your TED Talk, read your books, where can they find all of that?
Thank you very much. Amazon is an easy way to find my books. I have 4 books currently on Amazon. If you just search my name, they will pop up. And also my TEDx talk is called 2 Ways to Get into a Swimming Pool, which is very much related to what we're just talking about here today, about taking chances, taking leaps, and hopefully bringing some other people along with you.
Definitely. I remember when we talked to you on the podcast, it reminded me a lot of Tara Martin's Cannonball In mindset. So I think they kind of merged together really well with her Cannonball In from a teacher perspective and yours from a leadership perspective. So everyone go check out the TED Talk. We will link all of that below so they can check it out. And Evan, thank you so much for being with us today.